real estate is a direct sales business. When you're making contact with real homeowners and you have the presence online, it's the perfect blend. The small percentage that treat this like an actual sales business are making all the money. So the notion, and we're talking specifically right now, well, it doesn't matter, any sales business, but specifically in the real estate space, okay? This conversation for me, Joe, starts off with first understanding one thing. Let me see if I can share my screen. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't even have to share my screen. Everybody knows that is licensed in real estate. If they pull their license out of their wallet, you should know this more than anybody else. It says on the front of the license, real estate salesperson. That's what it says on every license issued in the United States of America. So this conversation to me suggests that real estate is, in fact, a direct sales business. Nowhere in the test that I know of does it talk about you're going to be an actor, you're going to be famous, you're going to be TikTok famous. This is a marketing license. It doesn't say that anywhere. It's a sales business. And for me, Joe, any business that is going to have any chance at really winning at a big level is going to have to make sales. The debate starts with how do those sales get created? How does money get exchanged from consumer to company? And in line with like social media and posting, from a context standpoint, I teach and coach that same thing. I want people to make content. I make loads of content every single day. I think it's very important. However, for real estate agents getting into this business, their belief is that they don't have to actually proactively reach out to anybody. They can sit back and make content and wait for people to reach out to them. This is a myth, Joe, that I started on my notes that I believe is one of the major reasons why realtors are failing. Because they come into this industry thinking they don't have to pick up the phone, they don't have to reach out to anybody. Some magical way, they're going to just post on social media and they're going to make enough money to feed their family by people reaching out to them. So my first point that I want to kind of just talk through is the foundation of any sales business is prospecting or proactive lead generation. I think you and I both would agree on that. Like without leads, without generating new opportunities, that business, the days that business is going to stay around is very limited. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go further, okay? I want to define cold calling versus prospecting. And here's the issue with the word cold calling. And you actually said something off air. You said just the thought, when you hear the word cold calling, it makes you feel weird. Okay, I get it, because here's the difference. Cold calling, what people think it is, when I use the word cold calling, and what it is not, they are two separate things. Let me explain. When I think of cold calling, I think people are picking up the phone and calling random people out of the blue to try to sell them something. I don't believe in that. I believe in proactive lead generation. Let me explain. Here's the definition of prospecting, and I wrote it down just so the audience can really understand what we're talking about here. So it has two parts, okay? This is the context that matters. To me, cold calling, prospecting that I'm talking about that gets people results every single day, that has created more millionaires in real estate than any other tactic or strategy ever in the history of real estate, is number one, identifying potential clients. That's number one. So this doesn't mean just going after anybody and all people, whether you're a marketer or you're a salesperson. I think everyone would agree on that. Target market, right? That's number one. Then number two, this is the highly debatable, the subject that I try my best to help people understand. Listen to the words. Proactively contact. Proactively contact directly. These are the three words. Because again, the big myth is somebody gets their real estate license and they think that people are going to reach out to them. We've created thousands right now, brand new agents in their first year, getting them over 6 figures. And we've interviewed lots of them on my YouTube channel. And we ask this question, Joe, every time. And that is this. Mr. or Mrs. brand new real estate agent, I want you to post content. I want you to do that consistently, and I want you to prospect consistently. Of the 2 methods that you've been doing in your first year, how many deals, closings, income did you get from social media versus outbound calls? And every time, Joe, it's 0 on this side because it takes time. And this time I made a 6-figure income because it was direct. We were in control. Let me explain it this way, and this will make a lot of sense. So what you're talking about is human behavior, which you have to be a student of if you're going to succeed in business. And most humans' brains, not most, all humans' brains are hardwired from a biological standpoint to take the path of least resistance. This is why most people are overweight, sleep in, watch Netflix, binge, and they're not healthy, they're not in shape, and they eat like right? So now when you get into business, the path of least resistance is to spend your time making cute little images on Canva and posting on social media. You don't have to deal with any rejection, and you get a hit of dopamine every time you get a like and a follow, and it feels good, right? So that's what the draw is there. That's why people have porn addictions and sex addictions and alcohol and drugs, because they're addicted to the dopamine. Well, the path least followed is dealing with difficult things that bring us pain. Now, here's the key thing. This is a key moment in this interview. What every human being would agree is that typically, generally speaking, what brings us pain today brings us pleasure in the future, and what brings us pleasure today brings us pain in the future. Let me explain. If a human being does not take care of their health and fitness because it feels better to sleep in, eat donuts, eat pizza, watch Netflix, when they get heart disease and they get sick later in life, they live a life filled with regret because they didn't pay the price earlier in life and they let their body go to absolute hell in a handbasket. Well, let's talk about sales. Real estate, as we all know, 90% fail out within their first year or 2. Why is it so high? Well, because most agents, to your point, refuse to do the things that bring them pain. Well, what are we talking about? Getting in direct communication with the people, Joe, who we know want to sell a house because of the fear, because it brings us pain, because we don't want to feel rejected, because we don't want to bother people. So let's take the path of least resistance. Let's try to get Instagram famous, knowing right now the reality is people just aren't going to reach out to you the same way you can get results with calling, which I'm going to break down those stats for you in just a second. We teach and coach agents that 80% of their day should be in income producing activities. 80%. Well, what do agents do? They take the creative avoidance, meaning this, Joe. They love spending time creating Canva images and creating logo on Fiverr and designing business cards and websites and Instagram and Facebook. They do all these things tricking themselves that they're being productive when none of that leads to revenue. And let me prove it to you right now. Are you ready? So I have, and I will put this challenge out there to the world. For any marketer that wants to take me up on this challenge, please send me an email at brandon@reverseselling.com and we will run the challenge on the spot live on YouTube and we'll see what happens. And the challenge is this. I call it the 60-minute challenge. Here's how it works, okay? We have a stopwatch. Agent 1 calls prospects who we know with absolute certainty want to sell their house. This is, remember going back to my definition of prospecting, identifying the, okay, so FSBOs, expired listings for rent by owners, downsizers, probates, all of these people that we know the likelihood of them are going to sell. Agent 1 calls them for 60 minutes. Agent 2 posts on social media for 60 minutes and does whatever other digital marketing thing you want to do for 60 minutes. At the end of 60 minutes, here's what we know to be true. We've tracked it for over a decade. In 60 minutes of direct outreach, and this is calling, texting, knocking doors, sending messages on Facebook, emailing, video text, all of the above, we know with certainty that that agent will have 8 to 10 actual conversations with people that want to sell their home. At the end of 60 minutes, Joe, they will absolutely 100% leave that activity with 1 or 2 of those sellers turning into an actual lead. By definition, this is what I mean by lead. The seller has motivation. They told the agent a specific time frame. They told the agent, I'm not committed to working with another agent. They told the agent when to follow up, right? That's a real lead. And at the end of 60 minutes of doing what I'm suggesting, you can get 1 or 2 of those. And oh, by the way, it was free. Agent 2, 60 minutes. Making images on Canva, posting as many stuff as they can on Instagram and wherever. In 60 minutes, Joe, what would they have at the end of 60 minutes? The answer is we have no idea. I don't know of a marketing, advertising thing out there right now where in 60 minutes, a real estate agent can talk to personally 8 to 10 sellers that want to sell their home, and 1 of 2 of those turn into an actual listing opportunity. Content, social media content, organic content is very important. I think agents should absolutely make it a priority, and they should do it. This is what I teach, this is what I coach. I show them exactly what to do, what to post, what to say, how to do it all. However, the thought that an agent can just do that, because the myth that they want to believe, Joe, is that they don't have to proactively reach out because they're scared of that. That's a sales activity. They don't want to bother people. They don't want to do any of that. The myth that they can just do that only and think that enough people from that are going to reach out to them proactively and say, come list my house, is a fantasy. It's not real. It's an absolute mirage. And real quick, when you prospect, when you're making contacts with real homeowners on a daily basis, and you have the presence online, it's the perfect blend. I haven't found, Joe, a marketing company, a social media company out there that is willing to guarantee the realtor's success with their thing, their little gimmick, their little trick. I don't know any. Maybe you could tell me, but I do know this. I can guarantee a realtor's success if they follow the path I'm about to lay out, okay? We've done this now literally over 1,000 times. These are brand new people, no sales background, no business background, over 1,000 times. Ready? Here's what they have to do. Number 1, they have to make outbound prospecting phone calls for 2 hours a day, not 20, 2 hours per day. In that 2 hours, they will talk to 15 to 20 prospects, of which 1 to 2 will turn into listing opportunities, like I mentioned earlier in the show. What does that mean? Here's what that means. That means that they will have had 4,800 conversations over the course of 12 months, okay? That turns into 480 leads. These leads will convert at 10% to listing appointment, meaning, Joe, they go on 48 listing appointments over the course of 12 months. And for most new agents in their first year with a 50% closing ratio, they will walk away in their first year with 24 closed sales year 1, doing this one tactic, this one strategy, guaranteed if they follow that plan exactly. This is based on a $7,000 average commission. This is a $180,000 income guaranteed. I have yet to find me a marketing company who will be willing to guarantee realtor success the way that this plan of a sales foundation can. Confidence comes through doing, right? Nobody made their first video on YouTube and it was the best video of all time. Nobody. Every big YouTuber, Mr. Beast, you, me, everybody, they all say the same thing. My first video was absolute crap. The learning is in the doing. It's the doing that gives us confidence in life. And so the same thing in sales. The more appointments you go on, the more people you talk to, the more outbound calls you make. Success formula is very simple, Joe. It's our activity times our skill equals our success or failure. And here's what I know. The reason why 90% of this industry fails out in the first 12 to 24 months, their activity is not anywhere close to where it needs to be. And all I have to do when I coach a new agent is how many people did you actually meet with or talk to this week? And you can imagine the numbers are very, very low. It's no surprise why they're failing. How many hours did you spend on Canva and Fiverr? Lots of time spent there. Well, why are they not succeeding then? How come when they spend a lot of time on social media in their first year, why is it that they're failing at such a high rate? And the small percentage that treat this like an actual sales business are making all the money. I go off of evidence, not emotions, not feelings. I go off concrete evidence. And that's the only thing we can go off of. And I'm sure you would agree with that. It's the same thing I tell an agent on how I coach them to get behind the camera and hit record. And so that is this. Detach from the outcome 100%. Fall in love with the action. And here's what I mean. So the reason why we are so scared to make the video or make the phone call is because we're attached to the outcome. What are people going to think of me? What are people going to say about me? Will I be accepted? Well, this goes back thousands of years, Joe, of human evolution. We want to be accepted. And when that gets challenged, when that is in question, we run away from that. So we need to detach from that outcome and focus solely on the activity, right? Let me give you a great example. There's not a human being out there, okay, that's a reasonable human being that goes to the gym one time, gets on the scale, takes their shirt off, and looks for abs. It's never happened. That would be attached to the outcome. No, the workout, the exercise, the reps, the phone calls, the hitting the record of the video is the action. I always tell everybody it's actions before outcome. So we got to detach from the outcome. Everyone's so obsessed with the subscribers, with the appointment, with being accepted. We got to focus on the activities, Joe, that lead to the outcomes. And so when we talk about making outbound prospecting phone calls, it's like, okay, all we're going to focus on, Joe, is the amount of time I'm going to focus on making my calls. And I'm going to have a goal of the number of people I want to talk to, and I'll let the results take care of themselves. That's how I coach an agent through that fear.